Welcome to the RPG Podcast.
And we are live.
Oh, God, Patton!
Presented by SHEATH. A Time Wheel production.
What is up, everyone? We're back, baby. And we are here with an awesome guest, Jeremy Hambly from TheQuartering. Got a huge following, and we're very excited to have him here. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes. Well, you're in good company with some of the guests we've had recently, I feel. But every time it gets better and better. We got you here today. And I really enjoy your content. I just want to point that out. And if everybody doesn't know TheQuartering on YouTube, you have to check it out. That's where I get a lot of my news. I don't know if that's a good thing, but where do you get your news?
Well, I have a process in the morning where I basically aggregate maybe 100 different websites. And then, I try to distill, like really what my channel does is it's like a news distillery, where I try to figure out what's kind of important for the day and what's really happening. And so it's like you take what you see on Twitter, what you see on like Minds or Getter or Gab, and then the kind of the main left-wing websites, the main right-wing websites. Usually you see the same story, just different spin on both sides, so you can kind of determine that, okay, well, this is probably an important thing. Now let me figure out what's actually the truth or what's actually going on here. And then sometimes I just cover like ridiculous stuff too, which is
like Pokemon or something.
Yeah, whatever if there's something like that is just too big to like ignore, that it's a popular type topic, I'll cover that too, even if I'm not like personally that interested in it.
Okay. I mean, you're doing a great job, so I love that. Thank you. I mean, it's entertaining. A lot of the clips at the beginning, the very the first like minute, that seems like the hard part. Honestly, I don't know.
It is the hard part, yeah. And I don't even do that. I have an editor. That's his whole job. I literally have like a memester, chief meme officer.
Nice.
That's like all he does is do those video intros. He can do a couple a day. It's hard because I often will have like, there was a golden era where content was, I could have 2 or 3 topics when I went to bed so that he had more time the next day. Some days it doesn't work out like that. I'm finding a topic at 1:30 that's got to go live at 2, so he doesn't have time to do, intros. But that's definitely a part of my content that, I think adds value and separates it from similar content. But that's something that we'll continue, and I'll continue to invest in doing even more of it in 2022.
You're killing it. You're growing. Do you watch Russell Brand at all ever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's doing great.
Yeah, he's like 5 million wonders. Glorious.
He's always kind of been a thinker, and he's relatively he's not apolitical, but he has no strong allegiances to either side, which makes his content really interesting. I find that my interests, my opinions, even though Russell is like decidedly more left wing, like I think in his beliefs, he's also still like a truth seeker, which is something that is gone from the left. Even in I guess I'm almost 40 now, but like when I was in my 20s, being a liberal meant like you were anti-censorship and anti-big pharma and anti-corporation. And now in just 10 years, 15 years, that's shifted. So now it's like libs are like worshiping at the altar of Pfizer, and they're saying, trust big government. They know what's best for you, and pro-censorship. It's crazy how far that's shifted. And so, I've got more in common with a guy like Russell Brand, who would probably consider himself pretty left wing, than I do with even a lot of right wing people who consider themselves right wing.
This episode is brought to you by Third Eye Cacao.
We're so happy to have a brand new sponsor. We want you to support our sponsors because they make these shows possible. Third Eye Cacao is on a mission to preserve ceremonial grade cacao in the world and invite others on a journey from their head to their heart. Cacao is a fruit where chocolate comes from and is one of the most nutrient-dense superfoods on the planet. It has been called the elixir of the gods for its ability to open up the heart. Studies have shown that the same endorphins that get released when you are falling in love for the first time, cacao has the power to induce also. It's like the best feeling in the world, and cacao has that for you here at Third Eye Cacao. Overall, cacao has the powerful ability to begin any day with intention and ceremony. Use promo code TIMEWHEEL, that's TIMEWHEEL, at checkout and save 11% at thirdeyecacao.com. This episode is also brought to you by SHEATH, the underwear of legends. It is the underwear with the dual pouch system. One pouch for one part of the male anatomy, another for the other part of the male anatomy. Not only is the underwear the most comfortable underwear you'll ever wear, but it also has the most stylish designs and patterns. The fabrics actually have a cooling effect when you put them on for the very first time. Your body will thank you because it's one of the hottest parts of your body. So cooling it down with these special fabrics that SHEATH provides is a nice experience. The proof is in the pudding. We have a 100% money back guarantee on the very first pair. If you don't like it, we'll send you your money back. Go to sheathunderwear.com, use promo code RPG and save 20%. We appreciate your support. Back to the show.
Yeah, I've always been right wing. Sorry, everyone. But now I'm like, and now it's like, you know, the left wing was pro the people and now they're pro power. And now I feel like we're pro the people and anti-establishment.
It's been weird. Like, you still have like neocons who are like the old establishment, but there's like this new crop of young Republicans that are more like anti-censorship, and you know, like Ted Cruz leads a charge on a lot of that stuff. I've got my own criticisms of him. He says the right things. I'd like to see some actual follow through happen, but like, he gets it. And like, as there's like younger politicians coming in that kind of understand meme culture and understand that like, you know, the important things like, you know, liberty, you know, it's kind of like this thing that the left just, I don't know, they just gave up on it. It just, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly when it happened, probably somewhere between 2014 and 2016, 17, I'm guessing, is when like the hardest shift happened. But if you would have told 25-year-old me that like the modern left would be like literally worshiping big pharma, I would have never believed you. Like, there's no way. Or like pro censorship and pro deplatforming. Like, the issues that determine where I consider myself on the political spectrum are things like personal liberties, censorship, and you know, essentially, I'm like, to call yourself a libertarian for a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are truly libertarian, but like, I don't know if I fit to any particular slot. But it's like, I just want people to be left alone, and it seems like, yes, there are neocon Republicans that are still like, there are still a lot of like Bible thumping Republicans and things like that, but like boomer cons, but like they're kind of like
dying off.
Yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, you it's like Trump. Do you think Trump was really a religious guy? No, he wasn't. But he had to like, he still had to pander to that like 15% of base. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's a small base, but you got to get them, right?
Absolutely.
That's why, like, I don't think Trump actually has an opinion on abortion, but because he has to say like, oh, well, you know, I've got to say abortion bad, so he focuses on late-term abortion so that he can get those. Like, that stuff, and the same thing on the left, where you have these people pandering, oh, we're going to forgive college student loan. If you thought Joe Biden was going to forgive student loan, you are actually mentally handicapped. Like, you are, like, I don't use that word anymore, but like,
right, I know,
like the actual definition of, yeah. And it's like, and like, how many times does that has to happen to you? Bernie got screwed over freaking twice, and you clowns still voted for the Democratic candidate. Like, I just don't, it's both sides have their problems.
Of course.
It's hard to like really associate myself with anything directly, but I find myself, aligning more with conservative values these days. As a business owner and stuff like that, it's hard to want to pay more than, I pay almost 50% tax, man. Like,
yikes.
I pay the max.
Wow.
Tax. Like,
as an entertainer, I get you're right.
Yeah, and I don't have much overhead. I have an assistant, and like, I don't have a facility to write off. I don't have, and I'm not a scummy guy who like, oh, I bought this car and it's technically my business car because I put a magnet on it. Like, all more power to people that do that. I just don't do that.
Right.
So like, when I'm looking at like mask mandates for small businesses and things like that, that stuff matters to me. And that's all, I seem to align with the conservatives on most of that stuff.
Well, it's like kind of like libertarian. I mean, I'm actually, I just checked. I thought I was registered libertarian, and it turns out I'm still Republican, but I had done some paperwork to be a part of the Libertarian Party, and they were asking me to go to this Mises caucus in Reno next month to be a delegate. And I was like, cool. And then turns out I'm not registered as a libertarian, so I got to actually do that. But so just to clarify, and I want Dave Smith to run. You know who he is?
Yes, the comedian.
Yeah. The comedian.
Yeah.
I guess
very smart, very, very libertarian. Yeah.
Yeah, I love him. And Ron Paul. I still listen to the Ron Paul Liberty Report, which is
I love Ronnie, but man, we need a younger crop.
Oh, of course.
Like, we need somebody to take that up, because he's literally hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, I felt bad I didn't hear it when it happened, although I heard clips when he had the stroke, like on air.
Live on air, yeah.
Yeah, Jesus. People were kind of like making fun of him. I was like, you guys are scummy.
Well, that's the internet. Like, it really desensitizes people. That's one of the core tenets of when I try to tell that to my viewers. And if you watch my videos, you've probably heard me say it here and there, but like, I really do try to encourage people to like go out and touch grass and like be involved.
Go to the pub.
Yes, go to the pub, play darts, bowl, do something to like talk to regular people, because if you're terminally online, it will poison you. And I've seen it. Like, I've seen people who are like, they've got no freaking clue. They've got no empathy left. They've got no clue. If you talk to him, Maggie's just off camera. If you ever talk to her in emails,
I do. Hi, Maggie.
Yeah, she says she's organizing. I'm getting ready to move, so she's organizing and packing up all my NES games and stuff like that. But it's you have to get out there. I don't care what it is. Like, there's something you like. Archery. There's a club for everything. Geocaching. Whatever it is, like, get out there and talk to normies, because there's this, if you remember back to like the 2016 election, there was a reason that so many people were so sure Hillary was going to win. And it's because they spent all day online talking about it. If they went and talked to like actual Americans, nobody liked her. Now, it wasn't like it was a blowout, but like, I was never, no, I'm still drinking that. Yeah. I was never like, oh, she's going to win. I thought Trump had a chance all the way till the very end. Like, I was like, he's got a chance. I live in the suburbs, didn't see a single Hillary sign, saw a ton of Trump signs, and like, sure enough. But that's because people spend all day on Twitter and think that that's reality. They think that that's it's not even a representative cross section of this country. In fact, I think some data showed that it was like the most active people on Twitter are like rich white women. Like, by far, rich liberal white women. Like,
that was TikTok.
Those are kids, but TikTok's a whole nother. Like, I'm not I'm not a ban thing, but I actually think TikTok is poisoning our youth. Like, I actually genuinely think TikTok does a lot of harm in validating mental illness and creating it and then validate. It's not just existing conditions; it's like creating it and then getting clout for it. I think
they elevate those. It seems like they elevate those content creators that have that, and it's almost to like, it seems like they're trying to fuck with us. I think somebody is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. The algorithm just puts like bizarre lunatics who are like, I'm a demon human and my pronouns are gore and gur. Like, come on. The fact of the matter is, look, there are people that are genuinely have, like, you know, they have gender dysphoria. That's a real thing that, you know, trans people exist. But also, like, there's also this, I have nothing interesting to say about myself, so I'm also an androgynous tree person and I identify as fir and elm or whatever. Like, that's not a real thing. That's what people do when they don't have anything interesting to say about themselves.
Yeah, people need to get like goals and a mentor, maybe somebody to kind of guide them through this world that is constantly changing. But those ideas, I think, are going to run into a dead end.
Oh, and these people are going to be extraordinarily unhappy when they grow up. They're going to wake up and they're going to be in their, I don't know, early 30s, and they're going to they're going to severely regret the decisions that they've made in their life. And some of these people will have done medical procedures or whatever that will be irreversible, and they'll regret it. And it's sad. It's part of, I think, parents not being involved and letting their kids get raised by the smartphones and tablets and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, your kids are terminally online at an age in which they are literal sponges. You know, it will have a massive influence on them.
Well, there's already evidence that that's happening with people that have transitioned and are like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's stuff going on right now in Florida and Texas, I think. And there's several demonstrations, but, like, you know, there's and then parents are getting, like, you know, thinking that, oh, well, maybe this is something I should, instead of just letting kids, like, there are legitimate situations, but then there are also, like, people go through phases. That's a thing. Yeah. And, like, when you're 9 years old, 10 years old, and you put on your mom's heels, that doesn't mean you're trans. That just means that you wore your mom's heels for that day or whatever. But then, like, social media rewards that. So, like, parents who grew up with social media take a picture of it and they're like, I'm proud, supportive mom of, like, you know, this or that. And there's this social currency around it. And it gets weird. But what I try to say too is that the most bizarre stuff, the most out there stuff, that's what gets amplified, and it's not really a true representation of, like, you know, you watch, like, libs of TikTok on Twitter, and you think there's all these, like, overweight SJW whales that are screaming it's like a few thousand people,
right?
But, like, we all look, it's like a circus. So you think, like, I've never in my entire life met somebody like that. I'm 38 years old, going on 39. I have never, like, met an SJW lunatic. Like, I've met, like, socialists, democratic socialists, but even they're, like, normal people I can have a beer with. They're not like screaming and having meltdowns. So there's something very concerning about, like, you know, I've gone through my whole life and I've been around, like, I'm a social person. I don't just sit inside all day long. And I've never met one of these loonies. So it's like, are they real even? Or are they just doing this stuff for internet clicks or for, you know what I mean? Like, it makes me wonder, like, if you watch the demonstration, there's, like, something going on in Texas where they're just, like, there's this overweight woman wearing a shirt that's way too small for her with her belly hanging out, and she's, like, screaming. Like, that's mental illness. That's not her, like, supporting a cause. She's seriously needs therapy.
What are they protesting?
It's there's some trans hullabaloo going on in Texas, I think.
Oh, okay. The problem I find, I mean, I just interviewed Blair White couple of interviews ago, and she was trans, wonderful young lady. Definitely advise you guys to check that out. She seems like she's very normal. There's so few. I mean, anyways, there's so few of them, and to put in my opinion, because I'm like you, it's very rare that you come across a trans person. And it's
I've
usually
met
online.
one or two in my whole life.
Yeah,
in real life. In real
I don't
life.
even know. I have met
And,
one,
and both of them
life.
were very nice, by the way.
Exactly.
You know, like both of them were very, very cordial. Like I don't want to say normal because people are like, what? But like just regular folks. That's both. But again, like I haven't met 100. I've met like 2 or 3.
Same. And they were super cool, but like all of the focus on such a small portion of the population, and to change all of our priorities to cater to like what is a fraction of a percent. Like not
That's
even
a problem. That's a distraction too, is what it is.
Yes.
It's like if you're worried about trans kids, you're not worried about the highest inflation in 20 years, and you're not worried about Biden bumbling this stuff with Russia. You're not worried about all our troops that died in Afghanistan on a botched exit. You're not worried about. So you're like, oh, it's like what was that? It's okay, I'm gonna screw this up, but maybe I think it's from Orwell, where he's in the book where he's talking about sports and stuff. Maybe. Like if people are watching sports, that's like the distraction that the government needs. It's like a way that I forget what the quote is or something, but it's something along those lines. Like if the masses are obsessed with like football and soccer and this and that, they're not looking at what's really going on around you. And like, I have to relook up that quote someday, because it was like, damn, man, that's so sick. That's like so right. Like, and it was like that day that I got a little less invested in like what my local sports ball teams were doing. I was like, man, this stuff's actually affecting my mood, and it's like ruining my day. And like, I don't want that to happen anymore. And like what happened in the 5 hours that I was thinking about the game, and then the next day when I was thinking about what happened, like, could I be doing something else to better myself? I could have read a book during that time. I could have done, I'm not saying it's that people should give up sports. It's just know that you're making a conscious decision to like unplug from the world to care about something that really doesn't matter. I
watched the Super Bowl, which was okay this year, and I had missed quite a few years, and then and I watched UFC, fighting.
Yeah, I watch fights too. It's easier to watch that because it's like, usually for me, it's like Saturday night and I'm out anyway. I'm doing something just on TV. It's social for me.
It's social. I invite friends over.
Yeah.
And like for me, that's like the ultimate pinnacle of human effort. You're pushing yourself to the brink of
the last meritocracy. Even in sports, it's the last meritocracy. Like there's sports in general, you would hope, for a lot, it's like, oh, this is okay. Like this is a thing where effort matters. And nowadays there's, there's politics involved and all this other stuff. Dana White understands that, like, I'm just going to shut up and put out an awesome product and people are going to support it. And, just to clarify, I'm not like dumping on sports. I still enjoy, I live in Wisconsin, so I'm a Packer fan and like Bucks fan. I still enjoy watching the games, but I don't watch as much. Yes. I don't let it ruin my day if like they lose or something, where I would let it affect my mood. Now I'm like, okay, the game is done. It started where I like, instead of just sitting there watching the game and like chain smoking cigarettes during the commercial breaks, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to clean the house while the game's on. Or I'm going to do something else. And then I was like, oh, if they lost, whatever, at least I got something done over the last 2 or 3 hours. Or I'm going to update some spreadsheets or do my tax stuff or whatever the case is. And so that, I guess that's more of, I still consume sports. I don't live and die by it.
Yeah, I suggest participating more so than just
that
observing.
Would be better.
So you just reminded me of one of your last couple of videos that I didn't have a chance to watch, and I wanted you to like kind of talk about it. That and I used to love LeBron James, like when he first came out and hadn't said anything.
Right.
I was like, I don't know. I just liked him. He looked cool. He seemed cool. I watched the documentary of his.
Well, he's a
upbringing.
freak. I mean, he's like,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
see-
even non-athletes or non-sports people can appreciate. It's just like he transcends the sports, like the Williams sisters in tennis. I couldn't
Yes.
care less about tennis, but
Yeah.
I got mad respect for them, or
Yeah.
you know, whatever the case is. Yeah.
But then the weird thing about him also is like you're a freak of like you're so.
I mean that in the
much-
best possible way.
No, yeah,
Like, yeah.
no, a freak like of physical capability, mental acuity, and like the whole package. He's like, except the shit he says sometimes makes me furious. It's like you don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes,
Here's why I think he does it. I think that he really doesn't want to be seen as a dumb jock. So like he feels inclined. Like people don't remember this, but remember when he came out in the news and said that somebody spray painted the N-word on his front gate and they had it all on tape? Where's the tape, LeBron? Never released it. So like that's when it started with him. And I was like, I'm like, come on, dog. You're like probably the richest black man on earth. Even at that time, I think he's on a huge contract with second round in Cleveland, I think, or second round, I think. And like, I was like, either it never happened, which I'm less inclined to believe, or it did happen and it was an inconvenient type of person that did it. You know, and he was just like, then he started getting into the social justice stuff. Like, bro, just stay in your lane. Your shoes are made by Muslim slaves in China. Like, just stay in your lane. Like, I understand you want to be smart, but like, either get educated or just chill. I'm not a unwaveringly shut up and dribble guy, but I'm pretty damn close. Like, I don't watch basketball to hear your political opinions. I just don't.
oh my god, when they started putting those BLM signs all over,
I stopped
everything,
watching that whole season. I tuned out. I was like, that's it. They had it on the freaking on the court.
Yeah,
and then like every freaking jersey, and they had the weird like BLM, and then their name was on the bottom. I was like, I'm out. Like,
yeah, I get
what
it.
do you mean? Yeah, you guys are the richest people on the planet. Like, I'm out. And then
you
like
make millions to bounce a ball.
yeah,
Sorry.
like tell me again how you're a slave. You know, like I just don't. It's like people, and so it opens you up to be like, well, you don't like black people? No. I love all people equally, or I hate them equally. I don't watch basketball for political commentary. And when you're putting it literally on the court, you know how it's like if you watch football and anytime anybody has to mention the Washington football team, it's like I cringe. It's like, oh my God, just call them the Redskins. Like, okay, now they're called the Commanders. Sorry, they're always going to be the Redskins to me. And like, it's like, do we have to? Do we really have to? It's a freaking sports game where people are just trying to chill. And like what football found out was they got pummeled. That first Monday night game where like it was like the Chiefs against the Titans maybe, and they were all like on the middle of the field holding it was like a cringe. They got booed by the fans in the stadium because it's like, no, you have 6 days and 21 hours to do all the activism you want. When you're on the field, I want to see you play the game. I don't care about your politics. Sorry, not sorry. And that would be the same way if like Aaron Rodgers was out there talking about it, because him and I agree on poke mandates. If he was out on the field kneeling against poke mandates, I would say that's just as cringe and it would be just as bad. And so their ratings took a huge hit and they stopped it. Remember that suddenly they never showed anyone kneeling anymore. Suddenly they didn't even air the national anthem anymore. Why? Because people don't want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get enough politics. You go to sports to get away from that. I mean, for the most part,
literally all the politics anyone could ever want. Like,
so much.
You know, like if I it's like you hear these like meathead athletes that are like trying to talk like that's why it killed ESPN. Yes, I used to love First Take. Watched it every single day. And then it was like, oh, they got Max Kellerman in there who's like a far lefty. after Skip Bayless left, and it was just like, Jesus Christ, every episode you got to talk about social justice issues. Like, I watch sports to watch sports. I could literally turn on anything else and watch news or identity politics or whatever. That was like the last. I don't watch ESPN anymore. And by the way, their ratings are tanking, and they're having round after round of layoffs, and people are going to Fox Sports because Fox Sports doesn't do that. I watch Undisputed, which Skip and Shannon, and they don't talk about that stuff. They do occasionally when it's like relevant, but they're not like shoehorning it into everything. And it's like, I don't know how much more clear I can be that I don't. And sure, maybe some people want that. Maybe some people think that politics and sports are like peanut butter and chocolate and they go together, but not for me.
No, and it's like the injecting into every single thing some kind of injustice of race or sexuality, or I know I saw these tweets about the Russian-Ukraine situation, and then they were like, just so you know, there's only 35% of the Ukrainians are vaccinated or something. And it's just like, why are you pointing that out?
Did you see that clown Pelosi? They had an American flag today, and then they had it like cut in half and stitched down with the Ukrainian flag. I'm like, I'm not a flag guy, but I never served. But I have a lot of friends that do, and so I know the do's and don'ts of the American flag. Like, I have a flagpole at my house, and like more than one of my friends who who have served are like, you better make sure that it's the right size American flag, and you better not put if you do Blue Lives, we'll drive by stuff and they'll see like a Blue Lives Matter flag that's just as big as the top. So like, I get it and I respect it, and like I know that you shouldn't be stitching two different flags together so you can virtue signal. The American flag can stand alone, and you can hold the Ukrainian flag too. Like, it's just, and this is what our politicians are doing today.
Virtue signaling. It's like, do something. Quit like posturing and showing these symbols. Like, what are you doing? Like I was saying before we got on here, we fostered hundreds of dogs, and I mean, say what you will about what you think, how that helps the world or whatever, but we're saving lives.
We all do our part.
Yeah, and it's in a matter of like doing something. We're looking at fostering children, and we donate to the homeless. And like, what are you doing? Not what kind of flag can you sew together and get credit? Like, you should not get credit for these statements and without action, I think.
Yeah, well, it's just the modern day equivalent of like changing your profile picture to a black square for BLM, or now
sorry, we didn't do that.
Ukrainian flags. Yeah,
we did do the Ukrainian flag, but I'm sorry, but like it was I don't want to. We did it because we chose to, I guess, and then like nobody. It wasn't like everyone's doing it. You have to do this. If you don't do this, we're gonna come after you, type shit.
Well, that's how the BLM one was. Yeah, but it's like, it always cracks me up when like famously every year, Ubisoft, huge video game company, for Pride Month, right? They change their logo to rainbow, and then they do it in Europe, and then they do it in Australia. But guess where they don't do it? Ubisoft, like Egypt, and Ubisoft.
Right.
So it's like, there's always the meme of like, do you really care? Do you really care?
That's
because
funny.
why don't you go to a country where they still throw gays off the roof and tell them that you support the LGBTQ community? If you care, you would do that. And it's like, I try to tell people like, bro, these companies don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about International Women's Month or Black History Month. It's all Hallmark holidays for them to sell you crap.
Yeah.
It's like, my favorite company, they put a rainbow flag in their Twitter icon. I better buy stuff from them. Like, okay, well, did they do it in countries where it actually means something? Where they're like, being pro LGBTQ community in 2022 in the West is not a bold stance.
Not at all.
It's actually the corporate standard.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, you want to go, you want to like stand out. You go out in Pride Month and you go anti-LGBT. Like, that's taking a stand.
Well,
but like,
I mean, Dave Smith talks about like, it's of course it's easy to be anti-slavery now. It was a risk to be anti-slavery in the 1800s or 1900s. Now it's like, what risk are you taking?
Well, that's the same thing with these like coming out videos too, where people are like, "Oh, it's so stunning and brave." I'm like, "Bro, it's 2022. Like, nobody cares.
Nobody cares."
Like, when Ellen came out, she actually took a little bit of a risk, and she was a Hollywood actress. That was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And by the way, it didn't hurt her career in the slightest.
Exactly.
But like, yeah, these it's like I'm not against people supporting whatever community they want. I'm just pro pointing out that they actually don't care because they won't risk any money to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like Chase and like these huge corporations.
Disney, how about Disney telling me they care about Black people during Black History Month and then putting the mask, Black Panther's mask on him in movie posters in China because China has a huge racism problem.
Right.
Like, do you care? Then why did you cover up Chadwick Boseman's face on the movie posters in China? Wow. Like, it's so obvious to like, and that's not. Remember the Star Trek poster thing or Star Wars? In Star Wars, the one with
yeah,
Finn,
the one with.
They literally made him tiny and put him on the back of the poster in China because why? Quite frankly, Chinese people don't like Black people in China. Okay, it's not. I'm not saying all Chinese people, but I'm saying it's a known thing there. That it's like they have a huge racism problem, but Disney doesn't give a crap because they still release their movies there. Like if you cared, then you'd put Chadwick Boseman mask off on the poster, or I know this is crazy, tell them to F off and not give them Black Panther and not release that movie there. Like these people don't care.
Yeah, I mean it's about the bottom line, and they're catering to these. It's weird though that it seems like they're catering to. Maybe we're the minority. I mean, it's like the way we think about like just truth and reality, and like, you guys are just full of shit, and you're saying this, but you really don't care. I don't know. It's just complicated because I care, but I don't want to put it out there like, just for points. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like all these people with Ukraine, and I'm not calling out your brand specifically, but like Electronic Arts, a brand with real money, like billions, right? We're talking like, and what do? They remove the Russian team from FIFA soccer. Bro, you guys could have taken $100 million and sent it to Poland, who had to take in 75,000 Ukrainian refugees, and you could have made a difference.
Yes.
What you do? You removed Russian Federation teams from soccer video game, like that kind of stuff. Like you have real money and you could make a real difference, but you don't really want to. You just want to do the least minimum thing so you can get tweets and retweets.
It's it is interesting, the Russian Ukrainian thing. What is your, like, there's so much misinformation, or we don't even know.
It's so difficult to know what's even happening. I stand by my statement that I don't think Putin is really going hard. I just don't think he is, because one of two things is true. Either the Russian military is so dilapidated and we've been lied to so long that they're literally, I mean, do you see these pictures of these tanks they're rolling in there? They're like 100 years old.
Yeah.
And they're breaking down and running. Like, what is he sending in there? Like, I thought I was supposed to be afraid of this guy. Where are all his fighter jets? Like, why isn't he just like smart bombing all these targets? What is this we're sending? Like, and the troops that I'm seeing are like in their 50s.
Oh,
like,
wow.
who are they sending in there? And the tanks and the like all their convoys look old and dilapidated. Like, either they have no military, which I don't know. That means I've been lied to my whole life. I mean, I believe they have nukes, but like their ground military, I don't know. Or he doesn't really want to invade them, and he's just like sending the scrubs. And like, because shouldn't he have just been able to flatten it by now? Like, just send in, 10,000 tanks and just roll right up to the Capitol? What's taking so long? I don't understand.
I have, this is Brendan Schwab, skeptical hippo eyes. When I'm looking at this whole scenario, it seems to me like it's another distraction to avoid auditing the Federal Reserve, or just looking at our the overlords who are doing whatever they're doing. I feel like this is an experiment, and they're seeing what we're willing to take. I'm sure you've heard stuff like that when it comes to COVID, like how far can we take this before they, revolt, and like Canada. That was
Right.
awesome. I loved what Canada did, and maybe a little late, but not as late as us. When our trucker thing kind of happened, I was like, it's kind of winding down at this point.
Yeah, our trucker thing was pathetic here in the
Yeah.
it was like, well, plus we didn't have a federal mandate.
Yeah. Yes, I didn't understand the protest.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. It was like, if you have a problem with a company that's imposing a mask mandate, then that's with your company. Except for federal employees. So like if every mailman took their car and drove it to the Capitol or something, something like that. But yeah, I didn't understand the trucker convoy in the United States at all.
Yeah, it was like they were trying to piggyback on the Canadian ones, which I thought was awesome. Like everything everyone ever feared Trump was going to be, I feel like Trudeau embodied and acted out, and it was so disgusting. It made me, I don't hate people, and I don't know that I hate him. I don't know if but I do not like that dude. He's too handsome, and I don't like his politics.
Well, I'll tell you this. It was when you see not just Canada, but like Australia and New Zealand are 1,000 times worse.
Yeah,
they're like locking down cities for 1 or 2 positive people. Like it was nuts. And like they have like their camps where they had camps.
Yeah,
where they send people, and like and like people were afraid. And then oh, look at that, by the way, look, today NFL dropped all their COVID protocols today. What a coincidence. It's like, how can you see all these Democratic strongholds in the United States suddenly drop all of their COVID mandates? Couldn't possibly be the upcoming midterm elections and tanking polls. I'm sure the science just changed. Like, how can you see that, right? And then say, oh, yeah, well, yeah, that's obvious. The science has just changed. It's definitely not the fact that they're absolutely getting destroyed in the polls.
And that the virus isn't what they said it was going to be. People aren't dying in the streets. It's like,
I always said that too. Like in the beginning where I was like a little more open about covering it, it was like, if you turn on the news, you thought they'd be stacking bodies like cordwood in the streets. That's how panicked it was. And like, I don't know. I know that there were some areas where it was bad, but like, I mean, you go outside, I would drive past my hospital and it'd be empty.
Yep.
Empty. Like 1-2 cars in the parking lot. Drive by another hospital, empty. Drive by the clinic, empty. Like, what do you mean? Like, the hospitals are overrun and you can't handle this and all that. Now, I know it did happen in New York, and I'm not denying that. Like, I had my family went there and made a ton of money working in the COVID wards because they got like, it was like triple pay to go there, and then they would work
as nurses or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and people were dying.
But you got it. You got
COVID.
I
got it. Yeah.
So and I remember you were feeling a little like under the weather, but it wasn't like you were still doing your show.
I still do my show every day, but I would say that like I was actually quite sick.
Okay.
I was sleeping like 20 hours a day.
Whoa.
Like I was very sick.
Okay.
Now all of my friends who got it were sick for like 2 days, and they were fine. Now I'm overweight. I'm not in good shape. I have Did you do the Rogan protocol or anything? No, I just ate it.
No monoclonal antibodies.
Well, the problem was I would have, but they made it. It was right where it like started getting popular. Monoclonals. My nurses in my family told me go get monoclonal antibodies. So I knew something was up. I was like, oh, I should probably do that. Like, because I have a lot of nurses. My sister's a nurse. 2 of my cousins are nurses. My aunts are nurses. So like every one of them said, go get monoclonals, which I thought, I wonder why they're making this so difficult to get, because suddenly I had to go. So once I tested positive at a home test, I would have had to leave my house, go get a PCR test, then wait 24 hours, then the COVID team at my clinic would have either approved or not approved me to get monoclonals. Then I had to drive from my house to downtown Milwaukee, which is like 45 minutes, which is the only place giving them. The concept of having to do all of this while feeling like absolute garbage, I was like, there's no way.
Wow.
Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to drive down to Milwaukee and like wait in line at some, like, I could barely walk. And like the idea was like, they made it so difficult to get that, like, I was like, I wonder why that is. You know, are they trying to hold on to reserves or something like that? Because everyone I talked to that took them had very positive things to say. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, but
I heard good things. In fact, and I live in a, like, I heard this, I don't know if it's true, but we have like the highest concentration of weapons per capita in my city in the whole United States. It's Woodland Park,
Colorado. You live in Detroit?
No. Per capita, because there's only 7,000 people, but like everyone here is armed, and it's probably like it's older population, more conservative, probably Republican, and what we came up with here, it was a home COVID response unit where they come to you, they fucking come to you, they bring you the shit.
Yeah,
and
wouldn't that have been nice?
Why are we all going to this center where everybody can like mix and mingle their?
That just makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
I'll put it this way, and I think you'll get what I'm saying. I could have had that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, I make enough money. I could have had that. There were people that were saying, bro, like, you know,
yeah,
I got you. But like, it was weird. It was weird that they were like, don't take this thing. And then I had nurses in my family saying, go take this thing. Now, none of them said, go get the horse paste, but they did say, get monoclonals.
I immediately, like at the very beginning, I got the horse paste from Europe, and I still have some, and I took it once a week. I still take it once a week just in case. We went off of this protocol from one of the Weinstein brothers or whatever, Brett,
probably, yeah.
And, you know, we were just preventative. That was our sort of measures, my wife and I, and we never got it. But we also live in the mountains where this population is 7,000, although our mayor did die from COVID.
Well, I mean, people die from the flu.
Yes.
You know, I'm not saying they're the same. The COVID was definitely,
I'm saying they're the same,
more deadly. Well,
oh really? I don't know.
Statistically, it was.
Okay.
But I mean, like,
it's very close.
I'll tell you what. I know that I'm saying I might be an outlier, but I was bad. And my wife, who's extremely fit, was bad for she was bad for like 7 days. I was bad for almost 2 weeks.
Oh, yikes.
Now my blood oxygen levels were always fine.
Okay, good.
If I was monitoring all that stuff, but like, I've never been sick like that before in my life.
Wow.
Like shitting and puking at the same time. I never vomit. Like, even if I drank like a 175 of vodka on some sort of bender, I don't puke.
I was going to say,
I'm not. Some people puke, some people don't. I don't puke, but I was puking like crazy. But like, the overwhelming majority, like I got my whole dart team sick. I got like all these people around me sick. I'm sure of it, because they all had it like a few days later, and they were over it in like a day or two. So like, I don't know. I think it affects. I'm sure there are people that get that sick from the flu too, but like, it didn't kill me, and I never got hospitalized, fortunately. But it was funny how the flu disappeared. Like, that kills a lot of people. Like, if you go back and look at, like, I don't know, pre like 2018, I look at 2018, according to the CDC, 28,000 people died, 380,000 hospitalization.
Wow.
So I mean, it's not nothing. Yeah. So I mean, like, now the COOF was in the hundreds of thousands, but we also saw that people die of anything, and they were getting counted. Like, I bet you Bob Saget got counted as a COVID death because he had it when he passed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, they're and we're on it, but
we're on the fringe here. Yeah.
A little bit, but there was all these supposed like soccer players, athletes falling over and dying.
I don't know what's going on with that.
But then it made me think that that's what happened to Bob Saget. He
Okay.
fell and hit, because then I heard he hit his head. I heard he had like
He hit his head allegedly on the marble floor in the bathroom is what they're saying now. He clearly passed out.
yeah,
Is what happened.
exactly.
He clearly passed out. Sorry, I had to ask Maggie to go get some towels out because my wife's on the way home with the dogs and they're full of mud.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to
So
ask
it's okay.
if Maggie was the wife or not.
No.
Well,
That's always good having a female assistant when you're married. It's great. Definitely that doesn't create any weird stress at all in the marriage.
No, I'm sure. I wouldn't even think about doing that just because. I mean, because of, well, in like the Me Too movement these days, a powerful man like ourselves, you never know when people are gonna do something like just make a claim or something, and I would rather just keep that risk at bay.
Yeah. Well, I've known her for 20 years, so it's fine. But like, I would have, if it wasn't her, I would have hired a man for sure.
For sure.
Now, just it's weird. It's like, remember when everyone shit all over Mike Pence? And I was like, dude, he's doing the right thing. Where he's like, I don't go to dinner alone with women that aren't my wife. And people are like, well, you don't like women? I'm like, are you crazy? That's a great policy. First of all, as a man, that's probably a good policy.
For the opposite, you don't want your wife going to dinner with some dude.
I wouldn't want that either. Yeah. Right. Like, as any married person, unless it's like a family member, like, I'm not saying it should always be avoided, but like as a general, and then like, if you're the freaking vice president, like, that's a totally fine policy to have. It's my policy. Like, I'm not going out on dates, essentially, optically,
dinner,
like,
drinking.
and then have somebody take a picture of it and be like, oh, look at this, like, it's just, I didn't understand. That was the weirdest thing. Like, I didn't love Pence, but like, like, I did like his take on that. I never understood what they were just so desperate. They're like, oh my God, here's something we can, it didn't make any sense.
Well, they criticized Trump for having extramarital affairs, but then they're going to criticize him. No, I know, but but it's like, what do you want? You want this? You want that? What do you want? You're going to complain about anything, apparently.
Well, yeah, and like, I guess like, here's how I look at it. Every president has probably been a piece of garbage. I think you have to be legitimately insane to, like, a megalomaniac to run for president anyway.
That's crazy.
So like, I mean, it's like this whole like garage door. There's this whole like pearl clutching. Like, could you imagine what modern day society would thought about JFK? The left would be literally creating dildos that look like him, and then the right would be losing their mind because he was a womanizer. You know what I mean? Like, except now, like, it would probably be different. Like, it's just like, dude, all these presidents. Do you think Bill Clinton didn't hook up with dozens of women? Of course he did. Right. I don't care. It's like, I remember when they were like,
well, I was gonna say it's the line, but it's okay. Of course you're gonna lie about it.
Well, I didn't like the I did not, like, no, bro, you were caught red-handed. Like, everybody knows. Like, I just, it was like, even they were like, oh, Trump's on Adderall. So is 70% of kids under 15. I don't care. Does it
all
make
the journalists?
All of them are. Yeah. And it's like, I don't care. So he's alert more during the day. He wants to shorten his lifespan, but be more alert and on the ball and work more hours. Oh no, that sounds awful to me. Like, you think these guys weren't doing blow back in the day and doing all sorts of stuff while they were president, bringing in people through the tunnels, meeting up with people? Of course. So like, I don't care. Just run my country good, protect my country, and stay out of my business.
That was my appeal initially for Trump. And I had like one of the first Trump shirts where it was like America or Washington, you're fired. And
Oh, no,
I remember
classic.
walking. Yeah, I remember walking, and I was with my grandma getting breakfast at Luby's in San Antonio, and this dude, he noticed it. This old man and his wife, and they were pointing, and they were like, "Yeah." So that was like the beginning. That was like 2015, and ultimately, I'm a libertarian, and I've just been, so I kind of, none of the people I voted for have won in the past. I don't think ever, but
I know it's such a weird position to be. Plus, the libertarians don't run great candidates.
right.
And
Gary Johnson was that year, I think. I voted for him.
Last year we had
Joe,
and that was terrible. And it's like the closest. What did Ralph Nader run as?
Green
Party. Yeah. Nader was the only third party that ever got close, right? I think he got Perot was
awesome. Yeah.
Perot was he got more. He got like he lost obviously, but like he
well, they had pulled it. Like, he pulled out, and then he get back in, and it was this whole thing, and he lost his momentum.
But they had you need like 8% or something like, I forget the number, whatever it is. But anyway, it's a tough spot to be in as somebody who doesn't want to vote establishment, because you just know you're taking the L. But if we don't stop if we stop, then we'll never win. Like, it's like, it's like, I think if Bernie had any kind of backbone, if he actually wanted to be president, he probably would have he wouldn't have won, but like he would have had a lot of votes.
Yeah,
like
I was pro Bernie, and then I was pro Trump, and then I didn't vote for either one of them.
It's funny how many people did go between the two extremes like that. Yeah. It's because neither one was like an establishment guy. So It was like, all right, fine. Like for me, all these people talking about taxes, I'm like, bro, I already pay enormous taxes, so whatever. And then like, Trump had my thing with Trump was simply the no more wars, no more world police. And then he fired a bunch of missiles into Syria like in the first week, and I was like, you son of a bitch. And then like he got roasted for that, and I think that he was like, okay, like that's it. Like I don't want any more of our young men and women to die for oil or for like poppy fields or whatever they want to tell us it really is, and like that's what I liked about him, and he basically followed through on that.
I like the business aspect. It's like we're running a business that's fucking $30 trillion in debt. Can we get somebody who knows what they're doing with a business mind to? Like...
Yeah, I did like that too. And he was like actually negotiating good trade deals. And like, if he would have got 4 more years, like we would be way better off than we are financially. I think we're on a bubble right now, and I think that there's like some real problems coming down the pipeline that like better global economy deals would have helped significantly with, instead of worrying about, like how long now do you think like Joe Biden's out here saying, oh, we have to reduce our reliance on foreign oil. Gee, I wonder if there was like this pipeline. I wonder if I could think of, I can't think of what it was called. Like, dude, like,
he shut it down immediately.
That was a big dick move when he got in office. He was like, I'm going to shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Like, all I want to do, I think I posted this on like my personal page. I was like, if you think this country cares about being energy independent, ask yourself why we can only buy oil from communists and terrorists. Like, there's a reason we're choosing to buy oil from these people. We could drill all the oil we need in this country. We could incentivize. I'm totally for incentivizing green energy. I'm totally for incentivizing people to get Teslas. And yes, I know the argument, it takes so much oil to make one. Fine. But guess what? I don't have to fill up my truck or the Tesla every week. So
I have a Tesla. I love it.
I do too. Well, yeah, we do too. I have a gas guzzler too, but I have that too. And it's like
both. Yeah.
It's like you get in the hardcore like Tesla short people that are like, well, actually, it's not that much better for the environment. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. You know how many times I've gone to the gas station in the last 4 years? 0.
That's
you know what I mean?
Nice.
So what do you mean? You can't tell me that wouldn't disrupt the oil market if 100 million people stop going to the gas pump. There's no way that you can't. So like, I'm fine. Incentivize that. And by the way, not just Tesla, all the major and like all the major domestic car makers have decent electric options now, and in 5 years they'll be almost as good. Like the Ford Lightning is a nice little pickup truck that's electric. And the thing that the domestic makers have over Tesla is that they already have the infrastructure for service. Like they have all these service centers, which boomers, that's their biggest concern. Well, when I take it when I need service. Well, it's a Tesla, you're never going to need it. But like, you know, I've had service on my Tesla twice. One was for a cracked windshield, which is not their fault. And the other was like some little piece broke off or whatever. But like they came right to the house and fixed it both times. It was not a big deal. But like once they have that and the holdouts, like I try to tell my dad, I'm like, Dad, what's it like freezing your dick off in 40 below zero, putting gas in your car? Wouldn't you like to just plug it in your garage at home and like the literal, because he drives 40 miles a month. He doesn't, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't, I was like, he's electric stuff. I'm like, okay.
Well, it disperses the energy consumption from simply oil, and so like oil's bad, lithium ion batteries are bad.
It's also mined, and it's also it's also bad. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but it's not all one thing, and it kind of just like it's not competition, but it's something like that. It is
competition. It is because if
innovation.
If you reduce the demand for actual gasoline, the price will lower. Now, so if you look into where the lithium mines are, they're of course not in great parts of the world, and like there's that. But like, I'm not buying lithium from Vladimir Putin, at least, and you know, there's no clear answer to it. But like, anyway. I think that Trump would have done some good things. I hope he doesn't run again, but like, because if he does, then I'll have to vote for him. And I'm like, I don't really want to. Like, I don't really want to vote for a guy who's overweight and is going to be 80. Like when Biden ran, everybody who voted for that dude had to have known that he's not running 2 terms. They had to know. Right. There's no way he's going to be 82 when he reruns or something like that. And his mental. He could barely talk. Yeah. So like, what do you? I'm amazed
every time he gets a sentence out. I'm like, whoa, okay, that was good. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, he actually did pretty good at the slur of the union. Like he did pretty good considering, but it was like, how about like a president that's in their 50s, please? Mm-hmm. Like, can we get one that like, can like, look what it did to Obama. Okay, look what it did to that man in 8 years. Yeah. He aged like 30 years in office. Like, I don't want somebody who's 80 years old doing that. Like, it's just, I need new blood, new ideas.
Who, like DeSantis? Or
I don't know if I like him. He's just Trump.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm just throwing. I mean, Cruz irritated me so much at first. But I ended up him. Well, I don't know that I'm in on him, but he irritated me, and then I was like, well, he kind of makes a little bit of sense. And
he has the right policy ideas, but he's also a lot of my issue with him is that he refuses to, like, he says all the right things, but he's got nothing done. He's literally like the right's AOC. Like she's really popular, says all the right things, and has Twitter owns and this and that. And then like, what has he done? He hasn't helped. He hasn't done anything for Section 230 reform. That hasn't happened. That was my biggest annoyance. That's like the Section 230 is the thing that protects all the like Facebook and Twitter from being sued.
Oh, nice.
The platform versus a publisher thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
like telephone lines or whatever.
Yes,
I mean,
right.
It was a public utility. Yeah.
Yes, exactly correct. Yeah. So like, the thing is, Trump promised that he would take on big tech in office, and he didn't do a damn thing until Twitter banned him. And then, like, when he was limp and powerless in the last week of his office, suddenly he's like, "Oh, big tech's a problem." I'm like, you knew day one in office, and you said that you were going to do something about it, and you did nothing. So, like, I mean. Big tech
he was getting hit on all sides. Like he
couldn't get anything done.
Yeah, there was nothing he could have done. Like there was a wall.
Well, he had like McCain, who was a never Trumper Republican. He had a lot of Republicans that that were like
that one, Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney, what a fucking loser he is too. Oh, the biggest problem about the Ukraine-Russia war is people are going to forget about global warming. Like, he literally said that. I'm like, this dude, but Silver Spoon Romney too. Like,
Disconnected. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would probably vote for DeSantis. But I wouldn't
see.
You will have to see. Yeah, I don't know who they're going to run. It's probably going to be DeSantis, or it'll probably be Trump. If I had to bet money right now, it'll be Trump.
Trump Jr., Ivanka, Eric would not win, but
Eric would not win. Trump Jr. could run. Yeah,
he's good on the mic. You know, he's good. He's
young. He's articulate.
Yeah.
I just hate the voting everybody's family in though. We did that with the Bushes. Like,
I know the dynasty.
He's got no political experience either. Although neither did Trump, and it really wasn't that big of a deal.
No, I almost prefer that, honestly. Just pick some random fucking dude off the street.
I know, someone with like somebody with literally no ties to anything. Wouldn't that be nice? Instead of having like, oh, well, his kid's got this energy deal in Ukraine. What's up with that? Or like, it's like, how am I not supposed to think that like China or Ukraine's got something on Joe Biden? They got something on him through their kid, crackhead kid.
Yeah, how do they not, like, they being the other side, not like look at that as a red flag or whatever?
Right. I'd be like, bro, don't wait. This guy, there's something on him. Like, there's something on him. But yeah, it's wild. I hope that I would love a good libertarian candidate or
Dave
a
Smith,
Republican that is close to it. You know,
and I know we're running up on time here. I had one more question that isn't relevant, and it had just like, how did you become this mega YouTube star? Like, but because you and you're basically doing the news. Did you go to journalism school or anything?
No, I mean, I started out doing how-to videos on fixing computers. Okay. And then I made videos on hobby grade remote control cars, and then claw machines. And I just kind of enjoyed making YouTube videos. And then I got into doing Magic the Gathering videos because I had played that since I was a little kid. And then I kind of got introduced into the culture war there, maybe 2017, 2018. Where like suddenly I was like, why are people saying men are bad, and why are white men so evil? And I keep seeing this thing I love, Magic the Gathering, writing articles or tweets saying that like men are unwelcoming and all this stuff. So I started pushing back against that, and then like it just kind of, became more important to me than the cards did, and I kind of gradually moved into just covering news and things that I find interesting. And so that's where we are now. I got lucky. I rode a couple of big waves, a couple of, big controversies. I was fortunate enough to be covering aggressively, and I grew in big spikes a couple times. And now basically my channel's mature, and like I basically just tread water now, but I try to work hard to understand what my viewers are interested in and give them that. And I think as long as I keep doing that, they'll keep coming back, or at least I hope so.
I hope so as well. You do great content. TheQuartering, it's a cool name. It reminds me of like horses pulling a body apart. That's
what it's from. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like it. Or dissecting information. You could look at it in a couple
works
of different
like
ways.
That too. Yeah, it actually is from like enjoying a hobby and then being pulled apart by like politics and like different things that are not the actual core hobby. It's something you love being pulled apart by outside factors. That's where the channel name came from.
It's a very cool name, a very cool channel, very cool guy, Jeremy Hambly. Check him out. TheQuartering, and you have another channel,
Midwestly. Yeah, that's where like hard politics are.
Yeah, and I want to check that out. I just heard you mentioning it. Thank you so much for coming on. You're very busy. You're moving. It was a pleasure, an honor, and a joy.
Yeah, appreciate
pleasure
it.
and joy are the same thing. But thank you, everyone, for joining as well. I hope you got something out of it. We'll see you next time. Doing the hand movement like Russell Brand. Maybe we'll get some more followers.
Yeah.
And I'll be in touch with you soon. Thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of a great March.
Yeah, you too, bud.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.